popping in, rewatching that game right after it happened, that takes a lot of discipline. It's so easy in that sort of situation to just say, no, I need to be more aggressive in this way or that way. But this is why Mana is able to maintain such high skill level while still, you know, I do believe he's studying in school as well, which is one of the reasons why he doesn't travel as much. He also studies StarCraft 2, which is one of the reasons he can be so good without having to play nearly as much as some of those top pros.
He has got a PhD in Protoss play, and I think I'm eager to see what changes he chooses to make here. He's going to watch that game, and he's might pick up on a few openings, a few small adjustments that that could make differences there. Maybe he'll realize I could have minded my main and mustered a few more units.
And sometimes that can be the biggest reassurance ever, to look at that game and think, wow, I was in good shape.
I could have won that game.
It's very easy to be watching a game like that and to be thinking, oh, God, I couldn't attack. I couldn't do this and that.
How do you win against this?
Yeah, it was way too good of a strategy. And you realize, man, that guy had almost nothing. You know, it's actually kind of amazing how the intensity of that game drew us in so quickly. To give a little backstory, there's a fun game that many casters play, which is that you give a key word to your friendly co-caster and see if he can work it in a natural fashion. And Diapollo said, I want you to say apple. And Total Biscuit said, I want you to say kettle. So, of course, it came right back and said, hello, little kettle apples. Just nailed it in words 3 and 4. And kind of starting off on a lighthearted tone, and immediately that tension just through the roof with that Ling, Mutalisk play. And
focus right on the amazing things happening in front of you.
I just cannot believe how incredible that game was.
It was great. It was fun. It was great fun, you might even say.
Stunning, stunning gameplay, and it looks like both players are in the map. Wow, dual sight, the choice for Mana.
WTF right now. Like,
seriously.
I heard you say, oh, it might be dual sight, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's a pretty good Zerg map. I can see why Nerchio might pick that. And then I didn't processed. This isn't Nerchio's choice.
Yeah. I mean, unless for some reason Nerchio just crushed that huge force and said, I've had enough, I'm done. I mean, like, dual sight seems like the perfect map for Zerg. Hard for Protoss to get a third base, but we've seen Mana's defense. We've seen his ability to do that gateway focus army. I do think that's going to be very strong on this map.
Yeah. What in the world do you have planned for us here, Mana? Maybe another thought he's having, okay, if I win on dual sight, I don't have to play game 3 on dual sight.
Oh, man, in the right position. We have from Team Acer, the Polish ex-random player, now showing stylish Zerg aggression. Acer's Nerchio.
And Nerchio's countryman down in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, the red Protoss player who just showed us an epic PVZ on, shoot, what's that map called? Oh, Daybreak.
I almost said dual sight again, but that is the map right now.
It is Mouse Mana, yes.
Good old Mouse Sports Mana, one of my all-time favorite Protoss players to watch for completely different reasons than, a player like Hero. You hear me bring up Hero a good bit because Hero is aggressive. Warp Prism drops here and there. 5 Zealots wandering away from the army to harass an expansion. All sorts of brilliance with that sort of play, but Mana, in my eyes, is bar none one of the best defenders in Europe.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. How about the PVZ metagame right now, Day 9? We have seen 3 distinctly different play styles of PVZ in this tournament. I keep referencing the Naniwa aggressive 2-base style. You keep talking about the Hero Warp Prism-based style that also relies on a lot of harass and importantly, multi-pronged harass. And then Mana showing us another facet of PVZ in that you can still play a very passive, defensive, expansive Protoss style and make it work. And oh dear, what was that all about?
That is, it looks like Mana's hyper-fragile building placement. I do believe we will see a Nexus planting down there. This is one of those moments where...
I hope that Nexus fits.
Yeah, if you can't fit the Nexus in there, that will sting hard. Nerchio has just enough money to begin doing that sort of hatch, goofy shenaniganry. It looks like he's going to go ahead and fight, and it loses the probe actually has to loses it, and he gets the hatch up, and he builds the evolution chamber.
Well,
at least
on
we
the
know
bright
he can
side,
fit a
the
Nexus in
fits.
there, yeah.
Oh, man, losing the probe and now being forced into a fairly awkward spot. How does Mana follow this up? He has thrown down the pylon in Nerchio's natural. We see Nerchio. I love what Nerchio does. He does every single game. He'll go, he'll drone all the way up to 18 and then double extractor trick so he can get out a few more Zerglings.
Absolutely
and of course, start that queen. So
we do see Mana's impeccable building placement. We see that the invading sheep has managed to penetrate the front of the base.
Yeah, I can kind of see the logic behind this building placement now as it's starting to be rounded out. Gateway going down, cannon going down. Once again, Nerchio is going to be crossing the map with some lings, potentially lining them up with the destruction of this Evo chamber. And this time it's going to look a lot scarier than it did on Daybreak Day 9, because that is 6 lings and a lot of broodlings, and there's nothing really blocking them from entering the base.
Oh, and it looks like they're going to target fire the probe, and they do manage to take it out. It's a very nice move right there by Nerchio.
Yeah, and look at this. He's going to swing right around. He'll probably lose 2, maybe 3 Zerglings as he goes up into the base of...
Oh, no! Nerchio, a full 4 lings plop on in Nerchio, completely dismantling mana.
Yeah, this is quite frankly a game-ending problem for Mana. He's going to lose a couple probes almost certainly. Nerchio's control is impeccable, I say, as he loses a couple of lings.
Wow! Look at his impeccable control.
Getting all 4 lings out with basically red health after killing 1 more probe.
Wow.
Zealot's going to come up and assist quite a bit, still keeping all 4 lings alive, but when that cannon finishes, the ling harass will be over. Looks like Nerchio's just going to throw them all away for 1 more probe. 6 workers are dead day 9.
That is a really shocking result this early on. We've seen that unit station. The probes are well behind the drone count of Nerchio. In that production tab, we of course see drones churning out, a 3rd base going down. You can easily get a 4th hatchery before you do any teching in this position, because really what can the Protoss do? So
very, very little. It's normally not until, you know, the 8th or 9th minute that a Zerg really starts pulling ahead in worker count, but already we see Nerchio 25 harvesters to 21. He's going to have a 3rd hatchery up very, very soon. He's already got a single queen pumping larva. Actually, he's already got double queen pumping larva. So he'll be on 3 queens and 3 hatcheries. His production is going to be unbelievable. And Mana, he needs a small miracle, quite frankly.
Only a single probe mining of this expansion. Just one, the lone worker probe. Reminds me of that movie Moon, where there's just one guy there working with a bunch of clones of himself, getting lined up. If you haven't seen that movie, I just spoiled it. Go watch it and forget everything that I just said. Whoopsie daisies, man.
Oops.
I'm just so sorry to everyone. You know what's really great about Mana is he's not giving up with his usual plan. We see the warp gate lined up with the +1. I think he might just go for the same play he did last game, knowing that it's a little easier to put pressure on those expansions.
Nerchio is still relentless with these Zergling attacks. Going to pick off another probe. Another 2 probes. No.
And Nerchio manages to pop on in. He's not really going to find that much. He's going to actually discover how far ahead he is.
Yeah, he's like, oh, wow, you only have 2 zealots. That's your entire everything. Hasn't seen this Cybercore yet, but he's about to. Or is he?
You know, it's actually quite impressive, this decision-making by Nerchio. He's getting the layer before he even gets the Roach Warren, knows how comfortable of a position he's in, and just as you were saying in the last game, look at how early all those extractors are.
Mining up all that gas so he can make that transition into the mutas. This time he's going to be able to do it much more freely than he did in the last game, because he's going to be under no real pressure. There was a threat of some six gate gateway pressure in the last game, but here we are on dual site. Only 4 gates working right now for Mana. His economy has been beaten up a little bit. He's at only 38 harvesters day 9, whereas Nerchio on 3 bases is about to be on about 60 workers. A couple of roaches are going to pop out anyway for Nerchio just for added security, but I do expect to see a Spire go down immediately upon the completion of this layer.
Well, let's see what ends up happening. The layer is done. Of course, Roach Speed plops out. That is one of those foundational moves for any strong layer-based play.
Maybe we won't see a Spire play. A lot of roaches being produced here.
Wow, does Nerchio actually want to go for a kill sequence right now? I mean, I gotta say, Mana's decision-making is quite admirable at this stage of the game, really. To be that far behind, most players would say, oh gosh, I got to do something big now. Maybe I need to go for 6 gate all in. But Mana looks like he's saying, well, I got to push this game on really long and try to get some incredible series of decisions in the late game. That really shows a lot of confidence in his own play. You know,
the thing is here, Mana's been set back and slowed down so much that if Nerchio just pumps out roaches for 2 or 3 production cycles and then goes for it, he's going to have 30 roaches against what? 3 zealots and 3 stalkers?
Well, it's going to have to be time for Mana to begin churning out a lot of Immortals and do another miracle defense. We immediately see Mana pulling back those Zealots.
Indeed. Mana in a big defensive mode here. Nerchio has 23 roaches, 9 more about to pop out, and he's bearing down on the natural expand of Mono. He's going to need some excellent force fields to make this work. He's got a lot of sentries.
Ooh, and look at speed now about to finish up, and there it is. He does have those speed roaches. Ooh, some not so great force fields end up letting a lot of those roaches slip on in. We do see one Immortal is very close to being finished in the production, but those poor sentries up at the front lines are taking a lot of damage. Nerchio sees control of the game with that hatch into Evo Chamber, wall off, straight up with the Lings, now doing a ton of damage directly to this natural expansion. Mana with some impressive Immortal control, but Nerchio with the macro.
Yeah, that might just be it, Day 9. More roaches pouring down the map. These Stalkers are going to fall very quickly. The Immortal does go down, and without that Immortal, there's really no chance to deal with these huge, huge numbers of roaches. I like what Nerchio did here. He recognized the vulnerability, and he just went after it. All the probes in the natural expand will die here as Nerchio just repositioning. Yeah, Mana not ready to tap out just yet, realizing that his tournament will be over if he loses this game. But if he was behind before, he's really super behind now. 60 workers to 30 and 51 supply to 140.
Gosh, Nerchio knows exactly how to squeeze his opponent until there are no more options left. He is just target firing this single Nexus, and this will not be like Insheth versus Naniwa, where the Nexus falls and the Roach army evaporates. Look at that, Nerchio killing it off and heading right
Mission
on
accomplished.
home.
Let's go start our hive.
And he will replenish, and there's the good game. Nerchio, stunning performance.
Convincing win over Mana there. The first game